Good evening, everybody. I am Stocke, and welcome back to Creepy Casino. This is technically the third episode that's being recorded, but it will be uploaded as if it were the second because the second episode went on really, really long, and I've got a fuck ton to do to edit it. So I've already hit the random pasta button again and come up with a fresh new story to read. He, who judges? I'll be reading alone this episode because Capperson, after the last session, is just completely pooped out. So, there you go. I have not remembered much, only that I stand here, writhing around in a pool of my own panic and fear. Once again, we're off to a glowing start. He scared me. That man over yonder, a simple ... fleeting image. I was only able to grasp one of his characteristics. Deep, glowing, violet eyes, clad in a black sweatshirt. His hands were hidden, stowed away neatly in his pockets. He stared at, no, through me. I've killed people. That escalated quickly. But this is the only time I felt like I was hopeless in the presence of somebody truly terrifying. I don't see how having killed people and feeling like you're hopeless are mutually exclusive, you know? Whatever. It seems the only option available to me was to keep still and await any further interaction. The man finally spoke out, a remarkably normal-sounding tone, albeit a tad deep. "And you are?" His eyes narrowed. If he found me, then why would he question? I didn't answer. He grunted. "I'm here because you've done something bad." Vague and curious, I'd have to answer soon enough. But his statements were beyond my comprehension. As are many of the statements in this story, I'd have to say. "What do you feel?" I'd respond, a mixture of cowardice and foolishness escapes my lips. "I feel nothing." "Nothing? A bit arrogant, no?" "I've done this for too long to feel anything." "Are you proud of yourself? To be able to admit something that this heinous with an unsettling ease?" "I wouldn't say proud, then what would you say?" We looked at each other, my heart skipping beats. There was an old legend, He Who Judges. It was a story about a specter who'd go around and bring about an all-new meaning of suffering to those he'd deem unfit to live. Could this be him? Sounds a bit like Krampus to me. Maybe it's just some overcompensating zealot. That must be it. I couldn't help but smile afterwards, smiling something fierce. "Oh, I wouldn't advise you do that." He'd tilt his head. My grin grew wider. "Oh, not a fan of joy?" "So you're another one of those edgy types who think it's funny to be faced with something that can pose a potentially mortal threat?" Oh. Oh boy. A creepypasta with the absolute balls of steel to use the word edgy. fantastic. You don't seem to understand who I am. You're a murderer. We've skipped over this stone twice now. You think I'd have no problem killing again? At the mention, he started walking towards me, and although I have come to my conclusion, there's still something ominous about him. Do you know what it means to suffer? He inquired. Suffer? What do you mean? What do you mean, period, not a question mark. Because spell checking is for losers. I guess that's more grammar checking, but still. Of course not, because if you do, you wouldn't be a murderer, correct? I'll be here to teach you exactly what that word entails. Taking up my bloodied cleaver. Okay. I have no words for the fact that A, this guy is just walking around with not only a cleaver, but with the fresh blood of his victim still on it. I rushed after him. That didn't break his stride, however. He nonchalantly strode towards me, reaching out his arms as if giving himself to me. The fool. Lashing out, only to have him duck right under the blade, he pulls me into his embrace. Suffer well. Everything goes black. ... Logan, get up. It's time for school. My eyes are open. What a crazy dream. I smiled wide. My mom's soothing voice rings in my ears as I grab my bag and head downstairs for breakfast. The day went by just fine. I've attended my classes and walked home another swell day. Upon arriving on my porch, something felt strange. Nobody was there to greet me, so naturally I opened the door to head inside. The lights were switched off, and a scream pierces my ears. Mother? I rushed into the kitchen, only to be greeted by the sight of my mother getting mutilated by a madman with a butcher's cleaver. He turned around and looked at me. His eyes were nothing but sadistic. I couldn't see any remorse within them. I fell to my knees, stricken by the sight. I looked up, only to realize who it was. It was I who killed her, but if that's me, then who am I? It hurt my head to think. Only sorrow graced my conscience. My mother was taken because whoever did it simply felt like taking her. I was sad, angry, depressed, lonely, ... and I felt guilty. It's truly a shame, isn't it? I was graced by a familiar voice. He who judges... ... What? Do you suffer? I'd assume witnessing your parent getting taken when you need them the most gets your blood boiling. You knew about this, perhaps. I don't understand. Do you know what it means to suffer? I'll ask again. Do you know what it means to suffer? I only looked to the floor, tracing the tracks in the wood with my finger. That man deserved to die. However, here I am, crying hopelessly on the floor. I'm sorry. My work here is done. The man simply walked out the door. The end. Categories: mental illness and reality. This was a very, very short creepypasta, and I honestly have to give it bonus points for that. The concept, however, it's a bit I mean, I guess it might be able to work, but honestly, it seems like it's very ham-fisted in a way, in its portrayal of trying to hmm the grammar as well. Um, yeah, yeah. It's very melodramatic. I feel like it's trying too hard in a lot of ways. But the grammar actually isn't that bad by the standards of the Creepypasta wiki. But on the other hand, it didn't exactly creep me out. I mean, it wasn't even mildly spooky. And in a lot of ways, it reminds me of the Christmas horror movie Krampus. But maybe that's just because I saw that recently. All in all, I have to say, if I gambled on this story at the creepy casino, I'd probably break even. It's, it's definitely not a jackpot, but I didn't lose much money on it. Let's just say that. So, there's also not an image to go along with it, so I'm gonna have to find something on Google image search to put up with this commentary, but yeah, mercifully short, not too bad, not great. Alright. Well, let me know what you guys thought in the comments below if you like. Subscribe if you're interested for more Creepy Casino. And maybe, if I can find the courage, I really will read from the fanfiction.net next time. But for now, good night, everybody.